Hey, hi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to automatically sync Azure DevOps Repo to GitHub repository. Here, Azure DevOps Repo becomes a primary repository and the GitHub repository becomes a secondary repository. So, whenever the changes happens in the primary repository at Azure DevOps side, how you can synchronize the same changes exactly to the GitHub repository. Okay, so that is the main aim of this scenario. Currently, as all the enterprises are getting migrating their all version control tools like Azure DevOps to the GitHub, and trying to use the latest feature which is available in the GitHub repositories. Yeah. All right, so with that note, as you see in this PPT, this is the PPT which depicts my demo which I have explained, right? So in this video I'm gonna explain you the scenario into two parts. In the first part, I'm going to cover up like how does the solution works by walking through this design document. And in the second phase, I'm going to show you like how you can set up the Azure DevOps side, GitHub Action side, and the GitHub side, and try to achieve this automatic repo syncing automation basically. Yeah. All right. So before I walk you through the first phase of demo, a kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. So with that note, let's go to the first part. Okay. So here, as I said, the scenario here is Azure DevOps. You have a Azure DevOps, as a primary repo where your developers are working on the softwares, and the other side you are also trying to migrate that repository to the GitHub side, and you have already taken the a copy of your Azure DevOps repo in the GitHub side. Now you want to maintain the day-to-day sync between these two repository, okay, until you completely move to the Azure, you completely move to the GitHub repositories, okay. So in such cases, this is the solution I have built with using lots of customization, searching the internet, collecting the data, and finally found out a way that which is working. And this is the video which is dedicated for that. Yeah. All right. So here, the solution starts like that. You have the the source repository in the Azure DevOps side, and you have the GitHub repository which is a secondary, and the the destination repository where you need to make a synchronization, right? And in between, we will also create another independent repository within GitHub, and we leverage the GitHub action capabilities to achieve the required automatic sync automation. Okay, and that's the reason we call it as a GitHub actions meant for scheduling the the auto sync, right? So the step is like this: whenever the GitHub action which is scheduled and running from the independent repository on the GitHub, so it first clones the the primary repository, that is Azure DevOps repository, with using the git clone command. And this is the this is the first step that you see here, right? That is first cloning the git, right? And in the second step, what it does is once it is cloned, it also clones the it also makes the git remote, in the sense it makes the git remote mirror to this particular particular destination repository. That is the second step. Yeah. Remember that the repository name of your Azure DevOps and the repository name of your the GitHub GitHub side should remain same. Okay, should be exactly same. Yeah, that is the aim here, because you are you have imported it basically. If you want to know how you to import the Azure DevOps repository into the GitHub, please do watch my previous video where I have explained the steps that is involved in this one. And indeed, the GitHub provides a very quick way of importing the your Azure DevOps repository on the GitHub side, right? All right. On the second step, we have connected a git remote pointing to this particular repository. Now we go to the third step. Okay, in the third step, actually the GitHub action, what it does is, now it has made a primary and it has also established a connection to the secondary, right? In the third step, it actually mimics the it actually mimics the actual scenario, that is git fetch, in the sense you are actually fetching the changes which are present on the Azure DevOps. Generally, when you are doing for the first time, it does not make sense, but if you do for the second time, yes, it does make sense, because you are fetching the changes being deployed on the Azure DevOps, right? And that changes gets collected in the Azure GitHub action, sorry, in the GitHub action machines. And finally, in the fourth step, what we are doing is, you're gonna, whatever the changes that you have brought from the Azure DevOps repository will be moved to the secondary branch, that is our destination branch, with using command git push, right? And that's where you see the command git push. Okay, so basically these are the four steps will be orchestrated by the GitHub action. And finally, we see that the your repository from Azure DevOps gets synchronized with the the secondary repository, that is GitHub side. Okay, so that's the quick walkthrough of this design. right? Basically this commands looks very blunt, but when you see the code, then you will understand. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the code as well. No need to worry. Yeah. All right, so I will go back to my repositories. Okay, so currently I will show from the beginning. Okay, this is my Azure DevOps repository. This is my Azure DevOps subscription. Basically, in this subscription I have an organization called cloudquicklabs, which is my channel name. In that one I have created a project called cloudquicklabs ADO, and in this project I have only one repository, right? And this repository contains a main branch, and couple of files, that is sync ADO to GitHub and readme.md file. Okay, so this is a source, this is the source repository which I have already imported in my GitHub site. So this is my GitHub account, right? And in this one I have the repository called same name. You see the cloudquicklabs ADO, and if I go here, cloudquicklabs ADO, right? So basically I have imported this to this, that is to GitHub. Okay, and you see the same things are there here. So that is main branch is there, you have the readme.md, then you have the sync ADO to github.ps1 file, everything is same. This is the first step that you have achieved. Okay, now this becomes your source and this becomes your destination, which you need to maintain the automatic synchronization. That is the scenario, right? Now let me go back to the independent repository under GitHub. So I have created a particular repository, independent repository under GitHub also, and I have given the name called sync ADO to GitHub, right? As the name says, sync ADO to GitHub, that is, we are synchronizing the repository of ADO to GitHub. Okay, and in this one I have created a workflow, that is GitHub action workflow, and a PowerShell script. Basically the GitHub action plus PowerShell script are making are being glued together, and we are trying to achieve the the required automation, I will say. Okay, so first one, let me quickly walk you through the the GitHub action file. How did I write it that? Yeah, so the GitHub action file is been kept under .github /workflows, and then the this is the YAML file, that is ADO to GitHub sync.yaml file is been written here, right? So this is a simple GitHub action YAML file which actually runs the PowerShell script. Yeah, so the name of this GitHub action I have given like run ADO to GitHub sync with PowerShell. Yeah, and the on push is nothing but invocation here is workflow dispatch, which is a manual invocation basically. But in real production you can make it scheduled option also can be added here. In the jobs I have only one jobs, and I have given the name like something like build. Yeah, you can give it name whatever you like to, right? Or you can change the name like whatever you like. Yeah, so then it has a run on, which is a Windows 2019, which is a basically GitHub action managed runners basically. Yeah, Windows 2019 if you put it, which is a GitHub action managed GitHub runners. Okay, so I'm basically running on a GitHub managed runners only here, right? And then comes steps, which is where actually doing the real job. First one, we are checking out the repository, which is because we need to run the script which is present in the repository, right? And that's the reason the first task is check out our complete repository. Yeah, and then we are then doing a run here. So what is we are doing? Basically it looks to be very simple, right? Since I have running on the Windows, I'm purposefully running on the Windows. Okay, because I'm running the PowerShell script, but this script can be converted into shell script, Python script, yeah, whatever you'd like to, and also can be run it. Okay, but in that case you have to rewrite this PowerShell script. Okay, for now I have run a like this. Okay, so I'm running a PowerShell script with using sync ADO to github.ps1 file with these parameter. So these parameters have been mentioned in this script. I'm going to walk you through that. Along with that, I'm passing the the path token of the destination. That is, what is the path token here? So this is my destination. I have created a path token by going to the my profile, and in the profile if you go to the settings, right, and click on the settings. If you go to the settings, there you will find developer settings. In the developer settings, you go to the personal access token. For now I have created a classic personal access token. So how to create is generate new token. Click on this one, choose the new classic token. Then you will have to confirm it by using the SMS. So for now I'm going to do that now, since I'm doing a demo, because since I have already created, I'm not going to use it, but I'm showing you just to help you like how you can create a path token basically. Right, so here I'm going to give my two-factor authentication messages, right? Once you authenticate with two-factor, that is with the OPT, that is one-time password, OTP. Yeah. And then here, you're going to give the note, and select the expiration date. Yeah. And select the scope. Okay, so here you need to select the permissions. Basically, I have given full access, in the sense I selected all, but you can select, if you are good at the finding the what action it needs, you can select the particular actions and click on create token, right? So that's all. So basically, once you click on this, yeah, once you click on this, then you are done with the pat token. So here I have given name like pat classical. Okay, and this token, this token is enough for handling the any kind of work on the complete my profile. Yeah, that is on all the repositories of my profile, basically, right? And that's the reason the pat token of the destination is been created like this. So my repository is here. So cloud quick labs edu, right? So this is the my destination repository. So this is done. So pat token has been created here, and I'm going to show you, like, where did I add it in the secrets, okay, in a couple of minutes. Then we go to the other side, that is I also need pat token of the ADO as well. So if I go to the ADO, there is a button called user setting, right? You see, click on this one, and here there is a personal access token button is generated, is available here. Click on this one as well, right? And here you can create a one more token. Click on this one, give the name like test pat, yeah, something like this, and select the organization. Then the choose the day of expiration. For now I have given complete access, but if you like to choose the permissions, you can choose it like from the custom field. Okay, and click on create. That's all. So once you click on the create, you will get the pat token here. Copy that pat token, and you need to come back to the your sync ADO to GitHub repository. Go to the settings, basically go to the settings, and then in the settings you have the secrets. So if you go to the secrets, click on actions, yeah, and here I have created a two repository secrets. One is ADO source pat and GitHub actions, that is GitHub destination pat token. Okay, so these pat tokens are being used in the workflow. Okay, so basically this is the this is the logic behind it. I will go back to the workflow again. So in the workflow, so this is what we have mentioned, right? You see the pat tokens are being given here, something like this. Yeah. All right, so I will go to the PowerShell now. So basically this is how the workflow is been defined. So workflow is meant to call the ADO to GitHub, ADO to GitHub.ps1 file. Yeah. All right, I'm going to walk you through this PowerShell script. This is the automation which is using the PowerShell script, but again, you can explore your own, your own programming language. It could be command line like shell script, or it could be programming like Python or Java. You can do in any language, basically. So here this file contains some 59 lines, and here I have given the parameter as I explained in the workflow. So we have the GitHub destination pat token as a parameter, ADO source as a pat token, right? And then down the line I'm just doing a write host, which is actually print something, that is dot dot dot. Okay, I can make it changes, but you can keep it, but this is just telling you that the script is writing. Okay, this print helps you to identify if the script is getting invoked properly in the GitHub action. And then here you need to give the Azure repo. So this is my Azure repo. If I go back to the Azure DevOps, this is my Azure repo. I have given the name of this Azure repo, like this is the one, and the cloud quickly ADO labs. Okay, and then ADO clone URL. So you need to give the ADO clone URL, so which you can give something like this. Okay, click on this one, clone, and you copy the HTTPS URL. In this URL, copy to the Notepad++, and it look like this. If I paste it, so it is look like this. So in this one, you need to give the URL till here, that is starting from dev.azure.com to end of this string. Copy that, yeah, and and come and put it here. That will become ADO clone URL. Okay, this much is enough. I'm going to show you the implications of this down the code. Okay, down the code. And then similarly you need to do for ADO as well. So to the GitHub action as well. So in the GitHub, you have your repository. Go to the code, and there will be a clone and HTTPS URL. Copy this, and this URL would look like this. If I go to this, right, and here you have the URL starting from github.com. This is our org, and this is our repository. Okay, so that format has to be copied, and you need to paste it in the GitHub clone URL. Yeah. All right, these are the basically parameters, and this can be used as a parameter to the workflow script which I showed you just a while ago, and you can orchestrate for the multiple repos as well. For now, this is only helping you to understand with the one repositories, one destination, one source repositories. Okay. All right, so now I will go to the next command. That is, here I'm doing a present working directory, that is pwd and split path. Okay, which basically gets you the what is the secondary, what is the immediate folder name of the current path. Okay, so if I do go to the PowerShell actually, so if I go to the PowerShell, so here it's getting, yeah, so here is my PowerShell. And if I run this command, for example, say this command, so what it actually does is, and this is bit magic here. Okay, I'm going to show this. Basically it is getting me the it is getting me the immediate second second folder name. Okay, second folder path actually, right? And that's what we are getting here, and I'm printing that basically. And then you are creating a GitHub directory with the name. So in the sense, this directory plus you are adding some GitHub to that one. Why I'm doing this one? Because this GitHub directory will be used down the line, right? So we are also printing that, and then we are also creating a dynamic path with a name called your ADO repository dot git. Okay, so basically, in the sense, the whatever the path is constructed, so that path is getting appended with the this ADO. This is the cloudquicklabs ADO dot git file will be used here. And then then in the right host we are basically printing the right host, yeah. And then if I go down to the source URL, this is the place we are actually constructing the source URL, which is nothing but our ADO URL, right? So how are we constructing is, we are using the https:// appending the path which has been which has been taken which has been taken as the parameter being used here, and we are using @ symbol and the ADO clone URL. So the ADO clone URL will be appended here. And then finally we are printing and checking how does this source URL looks. I'm going to show you when I run this. Okay, similarly, destination URL, which is a GitHub URL, right? So we are also constructing with using the GitHub path here. The path token has been added here @clone URL, and say similarly is been printed here, right? And then we're gonna go down. So to this is the logic where actually we are doing a clone with checking certain directory exists or not. First one, in this if loop, we are just checking if the directory GitHub directory path is exist. If it exists, we are just removing it. Why we are doing it is because when you run for the first time, it will not be exist. Okay, when you run for the second time, it will be exist, and you need to remove that, and you need to redo the cloning, mirroring, then pushing everything, right? So you need to clean the existing data so that you get the fresh changes from the destination repository, get cloned into the local repository, and that gets synchronized to the destination. Okay, so your source has to be always, when you are doing a clone, you clone the whatever the latest latest code is there on the source side. And that's the reason we are often removing the directories. Okay, and then if I go to this one, then it is also checking if the does not exist, if path does not exist. What it actually does is, it actually creates a new directory, and then we are doing the we are doing the cd to that path. Set location is nothing but cd to that GitHub directory, and then we are actually running. So this is the place where your git commands getting used. Okay, that is git clone -- mirror. Then you are giving the source URL, that is a ADO URL. In the sense, we are actually cloning by putting the mirror as the parameters. Okay, which is actually mirrors the your repository from the source URL. And in the else condition, so it actually writes like a GitHub folder. It says if it gives the it actually writes the it actually writes if the given folder path already exists. In the sense, if it is not there, then only it will run these commands. If it exists, it's just skipping up. Okay, basically it actually this is else is not required here. Basically this is the first command is always removing it, and the second command is always creating the new one. Yeah, so I will just remove it, not required. Maybe you can remove it or refine it from your side. Yeah, and then we go to the next commands, which is actually the core part of the demo. Basically, the first one is we are setting the destination location. Okay, so earlier we have set the location of the we have set the location of GitHub directory, right? And now we are setting the location of destination. If I go to the destination location, so this is appended with the repo name dot github. Okay, so we can see how does that looks. Okay, so then you are doing the cd to that, and this is the second command that you're running is you are cleaning the if any secondary secondary if any remotes have been configured which are acting as a secondary here. Okay, so basically git remote remove the secondary. That is what it means. In the sense, it's git removing the secondary. in the next command we are actually adding the git remote. If I go to the our file, so this is what we did, right? So first one we cloned it up, right? And the in the intermediate step is just removing the secondary, which is basically not required, but still we are running it. Yeah, in the second command we are actually adding the git remote. Okay, so if I go to the code, that is what I mean, in the sense we are running a git remote add, mirror the fetch, in the sense we are actually fetching the secondary. This is the secondary URL. So basically this is the command which actually adds the mirror, in the sense which actually mirrors your with the secondary. So we are here not only that. So basically the git, so here git remote add hyphen mirror fetch a secondary URL. So basically what we are doing is we are actually mirroring the the secondary URL as well. And I will go to the next, that is git fetch source URL. So basically in the git fetch source URL, that is third. Okay, so this is the third command. In the third command, actually the source URL here is GitHub URL. So in this GitHub URL, so basically what we are doing is we are fetching the source code. Okay, so the source code has been fetched here, and that's the reason I'm just printing the GitHub fetch. Okay, so this is the third step which I am mentioning here. First you are fetching the whatever exists on the source side, which is the EDO side, and then finally we go to the that is the last command, which actually makes the repository synchronized. That is you have added the secondary here. And the fourth command that is run is github push secondary all and -f, which is a force, in the sense irrespective of what it is there in the secondary side, it just forces and makes the ADO gets synchronized with the GitHub. That is the GitHub push secondary command is been added here. And if I go to the last command, that is a set location back to the the staging directory. So if I go to the staging directory, so staging directory is you see here, that is one step back. Okay, in one step back, that is something like this. Okay, so the staging directory it becomes this one, that is a pwd colon a split path. Yeah, so that command gets added here. And then you have the test path. We are also checking if the GitHub directory exists, and then you are doing the remove path, in the sense remove item GitHub directory. Okay, in the sense basically again whatever we have done in the step number here, that is git clone, right? And that gets removed dynamically here, right? All right, so this is the quite a code walkthrough. I'm going to share the link of this repository into my video's description. You can find this file from there and try to use it from your side. So currently, as I said, we are doing it for only one source and one destination, but you can do it for multiple by making some creativity, I can say. Right, now let's go and see our GitHub Actions run now. Okay, so I will go to the GitHub Actions. So basically, if I go to the GitHub Actions, so I have already run a couple of times. It's syncing, but I'm going to show you that for the next time as well. So I'm going to go to this one, and currently I have only one branch, main branch, and I'm going to run a workflow now. So I will go to the to this one, that is run ADO GitHub sync with PowerShell. If I open this one, and you see the job is started, that is name is build. It's actually doing nothing, but it's actually running that PowerShell script with the parameter being passed at the workflow level, right? So you see it is currently doing its job. I'm also going to show you, like if I make some changes in the ADO side, I will make some random changes, and I'll show that that is getting synchronized in the GitHub in the next second. Okay, so basically so if you see here, it has cloned and it is now running the run ADO sync GitHub with this parameter, right? You see here the step is getting run now. And then so currently it will take a couple of minutes, and I will gonna walk you through the logs of this one. Right, it has done its job basically, and it has synchronized. Okay, and it says everything is updated. Yes, indeed it is, everything is updated, but we're gonna show you when there is a change as well. Yeah, so the logs are something like this. You see it is actually printing the messages which I showed you. The staging directory looks something like this. Let me show you side by side. Okay, how does it look? So basically I open my code here in the other side of the tab, in the other tab, and I will open the code here, right? So if I walk you through this, so we are doing the right host, that is dot 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 reflex, right? So all these are been printed here, right? So dot 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 reflex Azure DevOps Repo. then dot dot, then you are printing the stage directory, GitHub directory, destination directory, source URL, destination URL. All those are being constructed here dynamically. I'm doing a print or write host of that. Yeah. So let me walk you through this. So basically, the stage directory becomes a sync edu GitHub. Then the GitHub directory, becomes this one because we're appending the GitHub name after that one, and the destination path is being predicted dynamically or created dynamically, and it will be same when you do a GitHub clone, right? And the source URL also being constructed something like this. So whatever you see the star is a pat token basically, which is a secret. Similarly, destination URL also gets constructed something like this. Then we are doing we are doing the cd to this path, yeah, and then creating a GitHub directory basically. And then what you are doing is you are doing a cloning into the bare repository, that is GitHub lab edu dot. In the sense, this command, if I go to this command, that is git clone hyphen hyphen mirror source URL, and that is what the output tells. Okay, so basically this is what it tells you. You are actually cloning the edu repository in the GitHub actions. Okay, and then it tells then we are printing the GitHub removing the secondary. Since there are no secondary, it will tell you this message. And then we are adding the git remote add. It does not has any output, but we are adding the remote here. And so we are adding the GitHub remote add mirror to the fetch pointing. So this is the command you need to follow, and it does not has any output. And then you have the git fetch origin. So git fetch origin has the output. So you see the git fetch origin is nothing but you are fetching from the source URL, and it also has these are the URLs. Okay, then if I go to the second command, that is git push. So git push all is basically, which is the final command, actually makes the your destination or the GitHub repository gets synchronized with the ADO, right? And since everything is up to date, it is printing a message, everything is updated, and finally completing the job. Now I will go to this repository. I will add some other file. I will add one main branch as well. So let's see if it gets synchronized. So I'm going to go to the file, and let me create a file. Let me create one more um, test demo.ps1 file, right? So I'm going to create this dummy file basically. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is I'm in the source repository side. So here on the Azure DevOps side, let's say I'm a developer. I'm making changes today, and I'm just I'm just copying this code. For example, say I will just copy the complete code here. That is something like this. Yeah, I'm a developer. I'm creating these these are the I'm creating some changes to the uh, to the to the source GitHub repository, to the source ADO repository. Click on commit. Yeah. So we have added a test demo ps1. Now I'm going to go to the branches. I'm going to create a develop branch as well. So go to this one. I will create a dev branch out of main branch. So basically these are the two changes that we did. One is one is we have added a branch. Yeah, you see the dev branch has been added, and then I have also added a file. If I go to this in the destination side, which is the our final repository in the GitHub, it has only the main. It does not has a dev. It does not has the other file as well. Okay, now let's say a schedule has came now. So it during the time of when GitHub action runs, the secondary repo has to be synchronized. Okay, that is a test case here. So I will go to the GitHub actions. I will go to the GitHub actions now. I'm going to run this GitHub action again and see if it synchronizes as expected. So I'm going to the run flow now, and I'll just wait for this to get complete. It has started to run the ADO to GitHub sync with PowerShell. I'm going to open this build folder. Yeah. So when it runs, we need to see that it actually synchronizes in the GitHub QuickLab ADO side. So I'm going to go to this one. So basically, this is the final part of the demo, where I'm getting you confident that it actually works, and it actually synchronizes the it actually synchronizes the ADO repository to the GitHub repository. Okay, so that is the final change checks that we're doing here. Yeah. So all right, so it has started to execute, and you see it is actually doing multiple things. Okay, looks like it has completed a job in a very quick manner. And since it is a one repo, it will does very quickly. But into the in when you have a multiple, let's say you have hundreds of repo, you want to do sync. Yes, indeed you can do that. And I'm going to provide that as a I can also help you as a freelancing service. You can contact to me to my my email, which is there in the my channel description. You can find it and do a synchronization. Yeah. All right, so if I can walk you through this, so here as the logs, so you have these logs, and then finally if I go down to the bottom, so here it actually fetched the our ADO, and it has identified that there are some changes. When you see in the GitHub push secondary, it has it has updated the main and also created a new branch in the destination side. Let's go and check if it is done the same thing in the destination GitHub repo. Here you go. It has already created the file. It has already created a file like testdemo.ps file, which we have added in the source repository, right? And then in the branches, you see the dev branch is also getting created, right? So basically what does this mean is, it has successfully synchronized the source repository with the destination repository. Okay, and finally we have achieved the required aim of this demo. Okay, so with that note, thank you very much for watching my videos. Kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. So with that note, thanks a lot, and see you in the next video.